Howdy, people. It is time for another video. And in this one, I want to talk about Uranus, the planet Uranus, the planet of rebellion against society, instability, chaos, which is a lot of fun, and the weirdness, the weird side of astrology, the weird side of life, the crazy people, or crazy as they say, the party animals, the wild child, the punk rocker, the rock and roller, the freaky BDSM types. That's all Uranus territory. And today I want to talk about Uranus and its correlation with punk music, because I feel that this is something I can really talk about. So, you know, as I mentioned, the planet Uranus is all about, like, kind of rebellion, freedom, and weird things, and just, you know, general wild stuff. And I've been into punk rock since I was about 14. And that was when I was first really getting into real punk rock, not this watered down you know, mainstream shit. Never liked that stuff too much. I did, but at the same time, when I started to hear real punk music, the underground shit, I loved it. And I was about 14. The transits I was having, I think Uranus was still in Aquarius, and Neptune was in Aquarius, yeah. And lots of shit was in Aquarius. Sextile my Uranus-Saturn conjunction. And I've always been weird my whole life. I've always been, you know, picked on for being different than the other kids, having a different lifestyle, having a different family. Like, I grew up different. See, my parents are musicians. So, we were all creative individuals in my family. I think Uranus also has a lot to do with creativity, as well as Neptune, but today I'm not really talking about Neptune. I'm talking about Uranus. So, yeah, I grew up in an interesting environment. My dad plays music. He's a jazz musician. He would often go and play gigs when I was a child. And he liked his freedom to do those kinds of things. And my mother also was a songwriter. She did some stuff with some people, collaborated with some other artists. My mom is a great songwriter. Her moon is in Gemini, so and then she's got a lot of air in her chart, so that makes her really, really smart and great at writing and music. And then she also has Neptune in her 7th house, so she's a very creative individual, my mother. And then I have Neptune and Uranus trine my moon, so I got that creative gift from my parents. But moving on from this, though, Uranus was always a big part of my life. Uranus rules my 4th house using whole signs, and I feel that I've always grown up in a slightly different environment than some of the other people I know. My family is, they're pretty open about things. We all talk about things, me and my mother and my brother, throughout my childhood. We're always open with each other about everything, in a funny, weird kind of way, where we would always just joke about everything together. And it was a good time, really. I love my family. But moving on from that, I always felt like I was weird and different and picked on for being weird and different. And then when I started to get into punk music when I was a teenager, when I was 14, this was like, what, 2003, 2002? After I turned 15, I got more into punk, even dated a guy who was into punk. And then also, I started to express myself in a different way than before. However, I felt that it was always me. I was meant to have that part of my life be significant and help me to empower myself as an individual. Because once I really got heavy into punk and started going to shows and meeting other people that were into punk, I felt like I fit in somewhere finally in my life, as a Uranian person. In my chart, I have a lot of Uranus aspects, but I also have Uranus conjunct Saturn. So, Uranus and Saturn, conjunct in Sagittarius, are square my Mars, and they're in my second house, which tends to make me really angry because the second house is all about money. Some people say it's a Taurus ruled house. I don't really agree with that, or a Venus ruled house, but the second house is about money, and I've always had anger issues about money, and how this fucking capitalist society is always taking our money and always just making us pay, and I think it's all a bunch of bullshit, really. But I feel like my life mission right now, with my Saturn in the second house, because using Placidus, my Saturn is in my second house right now, along with Pluto. So yes, I'm feeling a lot of anger towards the capitalist society that we live in, that just wants us to pay. But of course, I do have planets in Taurus, and I do love material things, maybe even a little too much. So it really just, I mean, I don't know, but anyways, yeah, when I started listening to more punk and going to shows and meeting other people into punk, I felt like for once in my life, I fit in somewhere, and felt accepted by most of these people, and it was kind of like my own family. And my own family, I mean, they themselves don't really like punk music. That was just my thing, I guess. My little brother does play sometimes with punk bands. He's in a alternative band, I would say. Basically, yeah, I liked punk from the age of and I still love punk music to this day. My boyfriend does too, and we have a lot of fun. And the thing about it is, so since I was 14, I liked punk, and then when I was about 20 or 21, I stopped dressing punk and started to listen to other types of music, because I felt like I was limiting myself for so long, and I felt like this punk shit, you know, people who only listen to punk and only go to punk shows and whatever, I just felt like after a while that was kind of lame, because as a Uranian person, I needed to branch out and be more Uranian, and be just completely myself, punk or not, just myself. Always anti-establishment. Ever since I was a child, I rebelled a lot against social norms. I was a weird kid, always. But I think Uranus and punk, I think punk is totally Uranian in the fact that it's free individual expression. Often punks wear clothes to express themselves that are what some people would consider out there. Even today in 2018, actually, where a lot of people are getting, this piercing I have here. I mean, I just like how it looks, to be honest. It's not even really a punk thing for me. But a lot of punks do get a lot of piercings, and I also have my nipples pierced now. But for me, it has nothing to do with punk or punk music. My piercings are just an individual expression of myself. I find them attractive. I like the aesthetic. And that's a trendy thing nowadays. A lot of people who don't even listen to punk music just get a lot of piercings, tattoos, because I guess that's trendy now. It's Uranus and Aries has definitely, plus Neptune and Pisces has made some different styles come about that are more individualist, artsy, kind of that sort of thing is in now, I feel like. So it's more accepted, which is nice, I guess, for me, because I don't really get picked on so much anymore, even at my job. I'm a stripper. For dressing differently and expressing myself differently. So yeah, I guess it's nice that I don't really get picked on for it anymore. But even if I am these days, I say, fuck you. I'm going to continue being myself, and I don't care what you think. And also in my chart, I have Uranus trine Moon, and I have Uranus opposing my Gemini Mercury. Gemini planets, and especially Gemini Mercury, is weird enough on its own. Gemini tends to be talkative and tends to go off on a bunch of different tangents, basically like I'm doing right now. But having the Uranus-Mercury opposition, I tend to say things that offend people. And then not just that, but I have this whole T-square in my chart involving my Uranus and Sag. So I get a lot of crap still these days for saying things that are shocking, and even on my Facebook, because I really don't care what people think. The right people, and I've been meeting the right people who are also Uranian, who also appreciate weird and ugly things, or things that seem ugly. They're actually beautiful to me. And I've been meeting the right kinds of people for me in my life who accept me for who I am, which is quite awesome. But yeah, Punk and Uranus. I even talked about an astrologer years ago about this, that Uranus people often lean towards punk, or even maybe the goth scene. But I feel like goth is a little bit more Plutonian. I am also a Plutonian, and I have dabbled a little bit with the gothing as well. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm a chameleon, because even no matter where I go and no matter who I'm with, I always stand out in my own way, because I mean, I'm just unapologetically myself. And of course, I'm not saying all of this to seem like I'm so different or whatever, like a lot of people do. They go too far with it, and they're like, oh, I'm different. I'm so much more different than you. You know, the snowflakes. I'm different, so, you know. But I've always lived differently. I've always had a lifestyle, even now, that is not considered a part of the social norms. And especially these days in my life, I feel that especially since Pluto and Saturn have been in Capricorn, this whole capitalistic society is just so frustrating. It pisses me off how much I get ripped off the short end of the stick when it comes to money. So I'm really, really liking punk music these days, because my Uranus is basically, Uranus is in late Aries, and my moon is in early Taurus. So I am about to have that Uranus-Moon conjunction, and I can see it like developing over time, getting a little crazier. Lucky for me, actually, the Uranus-Saturn conjunction helps me out, because as Uranian as I am, my Saturn will always step in and say, hey, you've been partying too much, you need to chill. And then I just chill. And tone it down, and when I have to do Saturn, I'll do Saturn, and I'm learning that balance between those two a lot and more as I get older. There is a balance with that conjunction, if any of you guys have it, who were born in, I think it's like 87 to 89, that people have the Saturn-Uranus conjunction. And of course, mine is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is like the total party animal, but basically, with Saturn and Sagittarius, you kind of have to learn to party responsibly. I mean, a lot of people say that Saturn and Sagittarius is not a favorable sign, but in my chart, Saturn is actually very strong, and I feel that just naturally, and I do have Saturn trine Moon as well, which is very nice, just naturally, like for example, I've been drinking a lot lately. And today, the thought of drinking any alcohol just makes me sick, because lately, every time I drink alcohol, I start to feel so sick, and then I just don't even want to drink anymore. So I feel like that's Saturn conjunct my Neptune right now by transit, saying chill with the drinking, because it's messing up your body and it's making you sick, and I'm going to make you so sick that you can't drink anymore. So that's a nice way that Saturn can help you out, is especially if you have great Saturn aspects in your chart, that, or just a strong Saturn in general, that even just naturally, not even without Saturn stepping in and saying, fucking stop, this is Saturn's way of naturally telling my body to just stop drinking. So, yeah, no more drinking for me for a while. I know I've gotten a lot of crap on Facebook for being a sloppy drunk, being a mess, being a hot mess, whatever. I mean, obviously you can tell right now that I am sober. But yeah, that is, basically, I mean, I went on a tangent here, but, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and of course, more to come when I have more thoughts about astrology and how it relates to real life things, because I feel like that's really where I can thrive as an astrologer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Everyone, have a nice day. Comment if you want about this particular topic. It would be a great discussion. Love you guys. Bye.